Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I have my June book haul. Okay, these are books that I accumulated a little bit before we left New Mexico and then into when we moved to Florida. I did do a little bit of book shopping. I was about to say not a 10, but I have 21 books, so a little bit of a 10. Some of them are books that I bought myself, whether they are Amazon or Goodwill or, you know, just finding random books, and a little pile of them were actually sent to me from publishers as well. So, all right, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start with a couple of books that I got from my parents, and this first one here is a very old copy of my dad's. Now, this coincides, there's a few books on this list that coincide with the Great American Reads list. The Great American Reads is a show that was on PBS recently, and they took the top 100 most loved books in America, and those were voted on by the public. So people nominated, voted, did all that stuff, and they compiled a list of the top 100. Because of that, I'm starting to kind of collect some of the books that are on that list. I'm not going to end up buying all of them, but when I'm coming across them, if I can get them for a good deal, I'm going to pick them up. This one was a great deal because it's my dad's. This is actually one of his favorite book series, and this book series did make it on the list. This is his old copy, and I'm talking like it's been sitting in the garage for a long time. This book is older than me. He read this in college. He's had this since college, and I was born much, a few years after college. But this is the Foundation Trilogy by Isaac Asimov, and this is a science fiction trilogy, and this made the list for one of the top 100 book series in America that people love. So a very much loved science fiction, and this has the entire trilogy in one, so this is 3 books in one. And my dad had it in his garage, and he knew that I was kind of starting to collect some of these books, and he was like, here. I was like, okay. And he made a joke. He's like, don't mess it up, it's pristine. I'm like, yeah, Dad, sure. So but he loves these, so I'm definitely going to be giving at least the first one a read and see what I think. But it's really cool that he was able to just give me his copy here, so I'm going to try to not completely tear it up. And then my mom had gotten me a book that she just found when she was out one day shopping, and she knew I didn't have a copy of it, and so she grabbed it for me, and that is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. This is a new edition that they just came out with, and it's like a special edition, and there's 12 new poems in here by him. So I love Shel Silverstein. I've always loved his poetry, and I read them as a kid, and I didn't own any of the books. I think my sister has them all, so I didn't have any, and when these special editions came out, my mom picked up a copy for me while she was out one day. Next, I'm going to show you some books that were sent to me by publishers, and this first one comes out in August, and this is actually an Agatha Christie inspired book. It's not written by Agatha Christie, it's actually written by Sophie Hannah, but Sophie Hannah has been writing some Agatha Christie mysteries lately, and this is going to be the newest one coming out in August. This is called The Mystery of Three Quarters, and it is a Hercule Poirot mystery, which is the main character in the Murder on the Orient Express, which I have not read. I've never read one of these mysteries before. The only one by Agatha Christie that I have read is And Then There Were None, and he was not a character in those, so I've never read anything with him in it. I don't know if I should read Murder on the Orient Express first before I read this one. I'm not sure if it's a book series that you're supposed to read in order, or if you can jump around and do whatever and it doesn't matter. If you know, please let me know, because if I need to read some first, then I need to get on that. And if I don't, and I can just jump into this one, then I'm going to jump into this one soon. But please let me know if you guys have read those, or if you know whether or not I can just kind of jump in wherever I feel like it. I kind of feel, since it's not even written by Agatha Christie, I can kind of just read this and be fine. But let me know for sure. But I do have this one. I'm excited. All right, this next one that was sent to me from the publisher is a book called Baby Teeth, and this is by Zoe Stage. I think it's Z-O-J-E. I'm gonna say Zoe. This one is an ARC, obviously, and I think this is the cover for it, but it has a different cover on the ARC. This one follows a young girl named Hannah and her mother Suzette, and I believe they do not like each other, either one. Hannah does not want her mother around anymore, like to the point where I think she may end up like trying to harm her physically, and her mother is also struggling in the relationship, and just has different ideas for her life, but she's stuck with this daughter who hates her, and I think it's just a whole big, it's probably gonna be some big messed up family drama, so I'm excited. And this comes out this month in July. Another one that comes out in July is Alpha by Jessica Cardo. Now, okay, I have this entire trilogy now. This trilogy includes Infinity and Omega and now Alpha. And I have been sent all 3 books by Entangled Teen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I haven't read a single one yet. But now the trilogy is out and this is the final book. So I need to just binge read this trilogy so I can maybe do a trilogy review on my channel. Maybe I'll make that kind of a summer goal to do that. I feel bad that I haven't read them yet. The covers are gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. So I'm grateful to have all of them. I hope it's something that I'm really going to enjoy. I think I will. I just haven't gotten there yet, and I need to get there because now I have all 3. So I do not have an excuse anymore. Okay, this next one was sent to me unsolicited, and I am trying to figure out what this book is about, but it's very vague. So it kind of has me a little bit intrigued. I'd never heard of it before. This is The Museum of Us, and this is by Tara Wilson Redd, and I cannot figure out like what the premise of this is. I believe it's a young adult book, and it follows a girl named Sadie, and she gets into some sort of accident, and while she's, you know, being cared for or recovering or something, she's calling out for this person named George. Nobody knows who George is. George is someone that she has kept a secret. She's never told anybody about him or where he's from or how he's in her life, but she's calling out for him. So things start coming to the surface because of that. And I'm reading the synopsis and I really can't figure out exactly what's going on. I'm wondering if it's like a magical realism type thing, or, you know, if it's like something inside her head. I don't know. So now I'm a little bit more intrigued now that I'm actually reading the synopsis and trying to figure out what to tell you guys, because I don't even really know. But it's a short little book. So it comes out, it might already be out. I couldn't find a publication date like inside the book. It just said 2018, but I think it's coming out very soon if it isn't out already. I did get it back in May before we left New Mexico, so it's probably a June or July release. But yeah, I'm much more intrigued now. This next one was also sent to me unsolicited in the same package as that one, and that is Freshmen, and this is by Tom Ellen and Lucy Iveson. And this one is actually written by a pair of people who were in a relationship at one point, and their relationship didn't last, but their friendship did, and now they're writing a book together. And I believe this is actually based on kind of their time together. So they are writing a fiction story about that, and it kind of echoes what they went through. But the tagline here is college is fun, love is complicated. So it does follow at least one person in college kind of starting out and finding relationships and meeting new people and doing all that. So sounds kind of fun. Maybe this could be like a fall read, like when college kind of starts up again for people, not me, obviously. I'm way too old for that. But it could be kind of fun, like, you know, reminiscing about that time in my life as well, because I went through that too. So, but yeah, I like all the solo cups on the front. I think that's kind of cute. So yeah, I think this could be a fun read. And the next one that was sent to me by a publisher, I actually have already read this, and I have a review up on my channel for it, so I'll leave that link down below. But that is Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris, and I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. B.A. Paris is definitely an author that I have enjoyed every single thing that she's come out with. They're all, you know, different and keep me guessing, and I just really enjoy the way that she writes books, and this was no exception. I really, really enjoyed it. So I will leave my review down below if you guys want to see more in depth of my thoughts on it, but it follows a man named Finn, and he is dealing with the disappearance of his girlfriend, and it's 2 different timelines, so you're seeing what it's like now and then. So then is when she was disappearing, and you know what happened when she disappeared and everything, and then now is how he's living his life now. It's about 12 years later. He's in a new relationship, but things are starting to happen that make him second guess whether or not his old girlfriend is actually alive when she's been presumed dead. So it's very interesting. I really liked it a lot. I flew through it really, really quickly, and I definitely recommend it. Okay, so now on to the books that I purchased myself. This first one is from Amazon. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. This goes into the Great American Reads Made Me Buy It type thing. I have never read this book, but all of a sudden, since it came up on this list, I'm hearing so many people rave about it, and I'm like, no one has talked about this book ever. My mom has read this book. She said she read it over a summer in high school and she absolutely loved it. And I was like, what is going on? I have never heard anybody talk about this book before, and now it's like all over the place because it was on that list. And that is War and Peace. Sure, by Leo Tolstoy. Sure, why not? War and Peace, a little light reading, right? The reason I bought this edition is because this cover is so beautiful. Obviously it's a re-release, but isn't it gorgeous? Like the color and the design around it, and there's an orange spine, and it is so gorgeous. And I saw the cover and I was like, okay, that one I would buy, keep on my shelf. I do plan to read it. Hopefully I will love it. It's gonna be a project because this is not a small book and the font in here is not small either. So it's gonna take, you know, this is a project read. But a lot of people, because of it being on this list, are now reading it and saying that they're really, really enjoying it. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm in. So I bought War and Peace. The next one I got is also on the Great American Reads list, and it's one that I've actually had on my eye on for a little while, and it was in our library when I was in New Mexico. I worked in the room where we did the library sales and everything. I was kind of in charge of keeping that room updated and clean and, you know, inventory and all that stuff. So this was in there and I knew it was in there, and I had picked it up a few times thinking about buying it and I never did. And then when it showed up on the list, I was like, I'm going and buying it right now. So I did. I paid $1 for it. But that is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz, and it's on the list. So we're going to see how it goes. But yep, so even though I picked it up a few times and didn't end up buying it, I finally ended up buying it. And then we went to a thrift shop here in Florida that had super cheap books. All these books were $1. And there was another one on there that is also on this Great American Reads list, and that is This Present Darkness by Frank E. Peretti. And I've heard of this author. I've seen his books going around quite a bit. He does write fantasy books, so I guess we'll see what this one's all about, but this was voted as one of the best. So I went ahead and picked it up for $1, and I'm interested to give him a try. Another one that I found for $1 at that thrift shop, and I'm really excited about this one because this has been on my radar for a while and a lot of people have been reading it and really, really liking it and talking about this author a lot. And that is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And yeah, I'm really excited. It is kind of dirty, like there's some food stains and stuff on it. I'm gonna try to clean it up a little bit. I don't think I can do anything for the pages, but like the back I can probably take a wet rag to it. But I was super excited to see this for $1 at a thrift shop. And this follows a girl, I believe, is she married? I think she's married to a helicopter pilot, and he goes on a job for work and his helicopter goes down and he is presumed dead, but they never recover his body. So I think this is like years and years and years later. She's moved on. I think she ends up marrying his best friend, maybe. Like they form a connection during their grief, and I think they end up getting married, and then it turns out that her husband is not dead and he shows back up. So I've heard really good things. I'm really excited to read it. That concept really fascinates me, and yeah, so I was really excited to find it for cheap. Okay, last stack here is my Goodwill pile. Most of these came from New Mexico. I did kind of one of those like last Goodwill runs before we moved and found like 8 books. And then when we got here, we ended up going to a Goodwill here as well, and I picked up a couple books there too. I got very picky about here just because I knew we had so many books coming and I wasn't sure how my bookshelves were gonna work and all that, but I did pick up a couple. So we will start with the books that I got at Goodwill in New Mexico right before we left. The first one is The Dinner by Herman Koch, and this one gets very mixed reviews. Very mixed. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. They kind of like, I guess they just don't see the appeal in it, or they thought it was boring. This is very much a character study more than anything. It's not action-packed. It's literally a dinner between, I think, a family and kind of things that are coming out at that dinner and, you know, all that. So yeah, but I'm interested enough to give it a try and see what I think. And there's also a movie adaptation of this now, so yeah, but I'm interested. This next one is a book that I've heard about for a long time and I've just never picked it up, and that is The Known World, and this is written by Edward P. Jones. This follows a man named Henry, and he was a former slave, but now he is a farmer, and he ends up finding himself in charge of the affairs of a very wealthy white man who lives in Virginia, and he's kind of left in charge taking care of his affairs and doing all this, something happens to the rich man and he's really left kind of dealing with everything, including his widow. So I've heard really good things about it. It actually won the Pulitzer Prize, so I just figured, you know, it's cheap, I'll go ahead and pick it up. This next one is a true crime book, and that's definitely a genre I want to start getting into more because of the true crime books and TV shows and specials and things I've been watching and reading. I've become very fascinated by it, so I'm kind of picking things up as they sound interesting to me. This one is called Lost Girls. This is by Robert Kolker, and this follows the true story of a serial killer who supposedly lives on Long Island, and I believe as of the writing of this book he has not been caught yet, but they know of him, they know his crimes. There's multiple victims that were kind of killed in the same way. They are all online escorts and their bodies end up turning up, and I don't know if he has a name. I don't know much about it at all until I picked this up and kind of read the back. So, but as of when this book was published, which I think was in 2013 maybe, that this serial killer had not been caught, but it's like an active type thing. So he goes into the crimes and investigations and all that stuff. So definitely very interesting, and I'd like to kind of know more about that. All right, another Goodwill find and another America's Greatest Reads, Don Quixote. And this is written by Miguel de Cervantes. And I picked this up at Goodwill because it was, you know, again, super, super cheap. This is a former library book. However, you know, it had like the ugly cover on it and it was kind of gross. So I was taking the cover off of it and taking like the plastic off, and then went to take everything off just to kind of get the plastic off. And this gorgeous hardcover with the gold foil, and I was like, what in the world? The cover that was on here was so ugly. So ugly. I was like, why would you cover this up and put something ugly on it? So I threw it away. I probably could have kept it to show you guys, but I forgot. So yeah, but Don Quixote, we'll see. I don't know. I got it super cheap. We'll see how it goes. I'm not 100% sure about this one, but I've heard good things, like, you know, especially after watching that special about the America's Greatest Reads. I've just, you know, obviously hearing raving things about it, but yeah, I guess we'll see. But I was really happy when this showed up and it was just so gorgeous. Another one that is on the America's Greatest Reads is White Teeth by Zadie Smith. I have not read anything by Zadie Smith yet, but I see her books everywhere and people talk about her all the time. So I found this at Goodwill, and it's a really cute edition with the green and white and everything, so I figured I'd go ahead and pick it up. All right, the last one that I got at Goodwill that is on the America's Greatest Reads is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And I have not read anything by any Bronte ever, and there's 3 of them, so yeah. But this one and Jane Eyre are both on the list, so I guess I'll be reading some Bronte coming up here soon. But I went ahead and got this. It was super cheap. The cover's fine, you know, nothing spectacular, but I don't, you know, it's fine. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it or not. I'm hearing this is more of a thriller book than anything, or like a forbidden love type of thing. Like, it's not like a, you know, feel-good love story type thing. That's what I'm hearing. So I have no idea what it's about, like 0. All right, the last one that I picked up at Goodwill in New Mexico was my most exciting find. I stood there and went, what? Who in town had this? I lived in a small town in New Mexico. It wasn't like a big city. So I was like, who had this? I don't understand. I found Zenith. I found an ARC of Zenith. So a big, huge, floppy, beautiful ARC paperback. Are you kidding me right now? And it was at Goodwill. I was like, what? So, all right. I don't know who had this, but I was so curious. But, all right, this one. So many mixed reviews on this one. So many great, glowing, loved it, 4 or 5 stars, blah, blah, blah. It was great, can't wait for the next one, blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of 1-star reviews, guys. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. This is a science fiction book. I believe it's young adult. I think it is. But this is written by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. Sasha Alsberg has a very big BookTube channel. The channel is called A Book Utopia. She was one of the first people that I subscribed to on BookTube. she has a great personality, she's really fun, and her videos are cool, and you know, all that. And then she also did a lot of videos on writing this book with Lindsay, and Lindsay is an established author. She has a few books that have been published already. So they co-wrote this book together. It's going to be a series, and I think at first they were self-publishing, and then they got picked up by, I believe, HarperCollins, or some, I can't remember exactly, but they ended up getting picked up by a publishing company and, you know, produced arcs and doing all that. So this came out in January, and yeah, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, because I'm hearing such mixed things, like such mixed things. I think for a lot of people, it didn't live up to the hype that it was hyped up to be. I think especially because Sasha is really big in the booktube community, that people were just expecting it to be amazing, and they just wanted to support their friend, and they were just so excited, but some people didn't end up liking it. But I'm still interested enough that I 1000% was going to pick it up at Goodwill, and I cannot believe I found like this big huge floppy that I love. You know, I'd rather read a big floppy arc than read a hardback, which is probably weird, and I'm probably in the minority on that one, but I just love these so much, and I love the oversized, you know, paperbacks and stuff. I just love the way they feel. So yeah, I snatched it up real quick. I could not believe it was there. I was just like, who had this? I need to know who you are. Never found out, but that's okay. So yep, I grabbed the first book in the Zenith series. It's called the Andromeda Saga. So yeah, but this is like female space pirates, I think, is what the premise, like the tagline for it. So enough to get me interested for sure. So yeah, but I have it. All right, 2 more to go. These last 2 I got at Goodwill here in Florida. And the first one is a Diane Chamberlain, and this is The Secret Life of C.C. Wilkes. And I've been hearing just such great things about Diane Chamberlain lately. I think I hauled one of her books before, and everyone was like, oh, she's so good. I'm like, no one told me. I'm just now realizing like she's even an author. So, but I did have one of my subscribers recommend this one as well. When I first started talking about Diane Chamberlain, and I hauled 1 or 2 of her books, and then someone said this one is a great one. So I found it at Goodwill and I picked it up. And last one of this haul is a big hardcover that I found, and I couldn't believe it. It was so cheap. But that's My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederic Bachman. And I just read A Man Called Uwe by him and absolutely loved it. So I'm definitely interested in getting more into him as an author, and now I have a few. I have also, let me see, where is it? I think these 2 go together. If anyone knows how, let me know. But I have Britt Marie Was Here as well, and I think these characters go together. So if you've read these, let me know which one I need to read first. But I believe there's a coinciding character in both of these books. I just don't know which one I'm supposed to read first. If I'm supposed to read Britt Marie, or if I'm supposed to read My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. So let me know down below which one I should read first. But I do have both of them now, so I'm excited. And definitely Frederic Bachman is just an author, you know, I'd like to read more from him and see what I think, because I just absolutely adored A Man Called Uwe, and I've heard just such great things about his writing overall. So I was excited to find this. Okay guys, that's it. Ooh, that's a big book haul. That was a big book haul. It was. But I'm excited about all of them. I really, really am. And that's gonna be it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you've read any of these that I've hauled. Let me know if there's anything I should get to sooner rather than later. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day. Bye.